Hey guys, welcome back to BickNTata. This is our second episode of the Kerbal Space Program. Yesterday we struggled quite a bit trying to figure out how this game is meant to be played, and Tyler was playing...
Kind of mess, wasn't it?
It was terrible. We crashed and crashed and crashed and crashed. And it did not go there very well. So
We've learned a little bit since then.
yeah, Tata's been on YouTube and kind of learning about what the game is supposed to be about. And it's a lot different than I had expected it to be.
Yeah, it's very, very true to kind of the physics of physics. It's like a real space program that has to deal with real engineering and vectors and momentum and mass and all kinds of stuff. It's really, really tricky. So anyway, to kind of move fairly quickly through here, the main thing that you need to understand about career mode in Kerbal Space Program is that accumulating science is probably the most important thing that you can do. It's the only thing that really matters in terms of climbing the tech tree and getting access to the important rocketry and stability systems and scientific experiments that you can do to actually get you off the planet, get to the moon, go to other moons, other planets, and even get to the sun, get to the center of the solar system. And so this is the tech tree. As you can see, we have 0 science right now, and you can't even really unlock very basic things until you've gotten 5 science. So we'll explain here how to do the science, getting the science, and we can start off really, really simply. First thing you need to understand is that in order to get science, you need to perform science experiments. You get a little bit of science just flying away for a little while. Getting a certain altitude off the ground will earn you some science, but that goes away very quickly. And so unless you figure out how to perform the experiments, you're not going to get any. So as you can see here, we're out on the launch pad in just a little pod. There's no rocket attached to it, and so it's not going to go too far, but I'm doing this to explain that you don't need to actually go anywhere necessarily to get your first science. So if you right-click on the pod and you click Crew Report, what's going to happen is you're going to get a recording of the assessment of your crew, what's going on in their experience. So little Jebediah here, we're getting his opinion on what's going on here. And you earn 1.5 science just for doing that. So if you hit Keep Data, and then mouse over here and then click the EVA, Jebediah is going to jump out, hit spacebar, and you can actually walk around, and you're outside your pod now. This is going to be important for most of your experiments. Your most valuable experiments right now are going to be taking surface samples. So anytime you get the opportunity to land in a different biome, on a different planet, on a moon, if you take a surface sample, you're going to get a fair amount of science. So there's 9 right off the bat. So the surface is charred and coated with burnt rocket propellant. Makes sense. We're on a launch pad. There are also trace amounts of a conspicuous green substance. That's probably the Kerbals who have all been sacrificed.
Oh my god, that's so sad.
To the space program. Yeah, it is pretty sad. So if you just hit Recover Vessel now, you are going to get this 9 science from the surface sample. And this explains another thing here. So what just happened is we actually only got our little guy Jebediah when this was recovered, and I don't know why they did it this way, but in order to actually recover the craft, we need to go now to the tracking station. This is our planet Kerbin, and we find this launch craft, this spacecraft icon, double click on it, takes us to it, and now we have to hit Recover Vessel again. And that'll get the rest of the experiments. In this case, it was the crew report, which was done inside. So something to remember, I found out yesterday that I had tons of craft lying around, and I ended up picking up like 150 science, just accidentally. So good thing to learn early off the bat. So now we have 10 science just doing that. So we're going to go ahead and click Basic Rocketry, research it, close this, go to the Vehicle Assembly building, and now we've got a few more little tools at our disposal for building a rocket that's actually going to do something. So we're going to put our pod out, go to propulsion, click on a fuel tank, attach it, attach a liquid fuel engine. So fuel engine requires a liquid fuel tank, obviously, and depending on the size of the tank, you're going to get a certain amount of fuel. So if you right click on any of these, it shows you a little bit more. And so it shows the liquid fuel, there's 90 units, mass of 0.45, which doesn't matter too much, except that more mass means it's heavier, it's going to require more thrust in order to get off the ground. So we're going to go over here, we're going to snap a parachute on so that when we blast off we can land safely. We're going to do this science experiment, the Mystery Goo Containment Unit. And if you go down here to Symmetry Mode and you click it, and you see these two, that means it's going to duplicate whatever you're going to be placing on your craft in a symmetrical way, so it's not off balance. We want to make sure we don't cover up the little hatch so our guy can get out, otherwise he's going to be stuck in there permanently.
That would be sad.
And that would be sad. So now we've got a functional, very basic, one-stage craft right now. So another thing you're going to want to know now, we've got a parachute. We want to make that the very last stage, which is stage 0 is actually the last stage, and the larger the number it is, the sooner it's going to come. I don't know exactly how to do that. It's a space or engineering thing. So the first stage is going to be firing this rocket. The second stage is going to be deploying the parachute, and we hit spacebar to toggle between to go from stage to stage. So we're going to go ahead and launch this, and we're going to find a nearby biome so that we can I can show you what happens when we go to a new biome. It kind of resets things, and you can get more science if you're performing experiments in different biomes. So we're on our launch pad. We could actually perform a few more experiments from here, but for the sake of time, we're going to go ahead and blast off. We hit spacebar. Actually, before we do that, we need to throttle up by hitting Shift. You'll notice this little bar going up and down. Control drops it. Shift increases it. X drops it back down to 0, which is important later. So we're going to go to maximum thrust. We're going to hit spacebar and take off. So now we're blasting off, and we could keep going straight up, but that wouldn't result in anything at this stage because our fuel is dropping rapidly. We wouldn't be able to get very high.
I don't think anything would make Jebediah more happy at this moment than what is happening right now. Look at his face. He's just
I know.
so excited.
He's pissing all over himself.
God. Like a little duck.
Little dog. So we ran out of fuel. It doesn't matter too much. I just want to show what happens. We're now careening toward it. We hit spacebar, and we're going to deploy the parachute, and we're going to safely land in the water here soon. We're going to accelerate here using this warp little toggle, and that's going to be more important when we're flying fast distances. But for the purposes of landing safely, it's useful as well. So here we're safe in the water. We're going to right-click on our mystery goo, observe the mystery goo, which again is one of our science experiments. We're going to recover for science. We're going to keep the data. Right-click on this one. Each one is an individual experiment, so that's another advantage of having more than one. It doesn't just balance the rocket. It gives you the ability to earn more science. We're going to go ahead and evacuate. We're going to right-click on our guy. We're going to do an evacuation report. Keep the data. We're going to go into the water.
Seriously, hump our spaceship.
Yes, hump it. Way to go. Get some, Jebediah. We're going to take a surface sample, get the water, keep the data. And if we can get back to the craft, just for simplicity's sake.
Is there any way to jump?
Crew hatch. Is there any way to splash like an idiot? I apologize for sensitivity. Anyway, we're going to store the experiments. We're going to go ahead and recover the vessel. We're going to go back here, back to the vessel, recover it again for some reason, and we're going to get all of this science, 27.5 science, just for flying up a little ways, crashing into the water, doing a couple of experiments. And now with this 33 science, we can actually get a couple more things. So we're going to research general rocketry, and we are live. We can't get a couple more things. We're a little bit short. But as we go through the tech tree, we're going to be able to do more and more. That is going to be it for this episode. I hope it was useful. These are kind of the essentials for this. And I'm not going to be trying to be a tutorial. This isn't going to be a how-to kind of a channel, but for something as complicated as Kerbal Space Program, it is probably useful to start off on that footing. And from here on out, I'll try to do as little how-to as possible and just be more entertaining than anything. But we'll see how that goes. And let us know if you actually do like the tutorial and it's valuable to you. Let us know and we can do specifically tutorial videos for different games. I'm happy to do it. It's fun. But anyway, if you liked it, thank you. Hit like, hit subscribe. We really appreciate it. And we'll see you guys next time on BickNTata.
BickNTata. Bye, guys.